University Speaker Series. Today's panel will be featuring students studying education and humanities. Before getting started, just a reminder that the session is being recorded, and if you have any questions during the duration of the interview period, please feel free to type them into the chat, and we'll make sure to address them towards the end. So to start off, I would like to welcome you, Dryden. Thank you for being here. And would you like to start off by introducing yourself, your exact fields of study, and anything like that?
Hi, so I'm Dryden Lalonde, and I go to the University of Alberta, and my field of study is a Bachelor's of Secondary Education with a major in mathematics and a minor in physical education.
Oh, wonderful. And what made you choose education as a degree?
So my school, from junior and senior high, we had a really strong leadership program, which I fell in love with, volunteering and just everything to do with leadership. And we created a bunch of elementary programs and just worked with elementary kids. And coming from a small town, it was really unique because everybody knew everybody with having 300 kids from K to 12. And that just led me to a major leadership role within the school in my grade 11 and 12 year. And it just naturally put me into education.
Oh, okay. And which year of university are you in again?
I'm currently in my third year
Your
of
third
my
year.
bachelor of ed.
Oh, okay. And did your parents or your family members have any influence on your decision to go into this field?
My dad was a teacher, and he likes to claim it was his uh, fault that I went into ed, but in reality, there was no part of him making me choose this field of study.
Oh, and did you always know that you wanted to go into education, or was it a more recent decision?
I honestly didn't really know grade 9, 10 what I wanted to do at all, and then just with that bigger leadership role within my school, I just kind of was drawn to education and the U of A because my parents came here, and then just got early acceptance and haven't looked back since.
Oh, that's cool. And I know that STEM fields can get quite competitive. Would you say that it's the same for education fields?
Uh, Ed right now is pretty competitive to get into, I find, and it especially elementary ed's a little different because you don't have a major or minor. It's more broad spectrum. But for different secondary education programs, your major and minor plays a huge role in your acceptance rate. Like I know phys ed majors are really high average to get into school, and the sciences and those ones too are more difficult to get into than other programs where they're graduating less students.
Oh, okay. So how did you find the application process?
I was since I live only an hour away from here, I was able to come in on one of their like helpful nights, and they helped me apply, and it was a very easy process once you figured out where to go and which links to press, which was very nice.
Oh, so you had support from others. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I had support from staff and students at the U of A to help me apply in the first place.
Oh, okay. So they also like let you know what kind of requirements you would need.
Yeah, uh, they let me know my high school requirements. They let me know competitive averages to get in. They let me know where to go, fees, everything that could have possibly applied. I got a little package for everything.
Oh, okay. And you said that you go to University of Alberta. So how do you decide which university to go to after all, like there are so many universities?
Yeah, there was a lot of options, and uh, I decided to come to U of A. One because it's close to home. Another reason because both my parents went here, and it's always just been a big part of my life, and just they have one of the oldest education programs in the country, which I really liked the way it was set up, and just decided it was my best choice to apply here, and I got in, so I was happy.
Oh, and did you only apply to U of A?
Yeah, I applied to U of A and got early acceptance, so I didn't end up applying anywhere else after my grade 11 year.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, it was nice.
And you're in your third year. So how did you find your first year, like when you first went to university?
My first year, it was a big change coming out of high school, going into 5 classes and just living on yourself by yourself for the first time and just all of that. So it was hard to figure out like your scheduling and time management and everything. But I found once I got that figured out, it was a lot better. It also didn't help that my first year was cut short and we were kicked out of university due to COVID, which was a little rough in the end of March, but and then everything was switched online and that was a whole mess. But when you look at it without the COVID perspective, it's a lot of time management and learning how to deal with all that that makes your life a lot easier once you're figured that out.
Mm. And do you have any tips for time management?
Uh, it it grows over time. Your first year of university, you'll have not much clue. You could study all day in high school, and then coming to university is just a completely different atmosphere of work and how much needs to be done and due dates and everything. One of the most important things I find is at the end of the previous week, I always make a calendar of what I need to do and my to do dates, and then just kind of slowly work through it and allocate time and have a schedule, which is extremely important.
Yeah, those are great techniques. And I know that every university has like its own certain resources that they provide to first year students. Does U of A do anything like that?
They do provide a lot of help with like academic advisors and those kind of people. There's help everywhere. You just need to know where to look for it and to ask people. And there's plenty of resources for absolutely everything you can imagine on with campus.
Mm. And previously you said that there's a big change going from high school to university. What would you say is the biggest difference?
Uh, Probably how much work and ethic you have to put into your classes. Like in high school, I found that it was rather easy. I didn't have to study too much. I didn't have to do any that much work besides like doing my homework. But then you come to university and they expect so much more out of you and putting so much more time. And especially having it's basically 5 core courses at a more advanced university level, it's really difficult to get used to at the start, but you'll figure it out along the way.
So the workload is really great.
Yeah, the workload's way more advanced than high school is.
Um, and do you think that the subjects that you learn in high school prepare you for university?
Certain ones, yes and no. I find depending on my degree, like with my math major and phys ed minor, my mathematics courses and taking phys ed within high school have really helped me out. But then, like my social, I don't have to take any history or anything for my uh, degree. So, kind of social sciences, they didn't really make a difference to me, but they definitely help other students depending on what program and everything you're going into.
Mhm. And as a high school student, did you take any extracurriculars or electives? And do you think it's important to take extracurriculars?
I did take extracurriculars, and they're very good to have. They give you a little bit of a break. They let you focus on something else that isn't a core subject, and just let you relax and kind of enjoy class when you're not focusing on trying to get an extremely high grade that is a requirement for university.
Mm. What kind of extracurriculars did you take?
I took a lot of sports and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I love sports as well,
yeah,
so
a lot of sports classes, my phys eds, leadership, those kind of things, which really helped me with my degree in the end.
that's wonderful. And what would you say a common daily workload is for you?
So every day I get up about 8, and then I have roughly 4 hours of class on Tuesday, Thursday, and about an hour or two on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then once that's done, I make sure I eat 3 times throughout the day because in university you tend to get too busy and forget to eat, which is not good for you. And then usually around 2, because I schedule all my classes in the morning, I grind homework from like 2 till 5, and then I have supper. And if I'm done all my homework by then I relax and maybe study a bit more after supper, or then I continue to finish up my homework. And it's probably between 2 and 4 hours of school a day, and probably about the same amount in homework afterwards or studying or whatever you're doing.
Oh, so like around how many hours do you spend doing work outside of classes?
Outside of classes, it honestly depends on the week, but probably a good 3 hours a day is a safe minimum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And would you say that like your degree requires work less compared to like STEM related fields, um, or
Uh, it depends on the semester for me. So when I'm doing my mathematics courses, there's a lot more work with homework and studying and everything than when I'm taking my education courses, just due to the workload that's necessary in them. But I've taken a computer science course, and that's been a lot of work, just learning how to do it all and the readings and textbook readings and practicing just so that you fully understand everything. But I believe STEM or like engineering courses or anything are even more work because I live with a lot of those guys that are in engineering or STEM or anything, and they're working all day, every day to get their work done in the end.
okay. And do you have any specific tips that would ease the transition from uh, high school to university? Because I know it can get really hectic and really hefty with like all the new changes.
Yes, it can get really hectic and heavy. One of the most important things I found is find a decent group of a couple people that you're able to study with, you're able to go out and have fun with, because university isn't just about studying and everything. It's about the experience too. And you got to remember that you got to have fun. You got to make your life enjoyable so that you're not just doing schoolwork every day, all day, every day, because your life will not be a good time then. You will not like your degree. You won't like anything. You got to be able to manage it well and fit in fun with your work at the same time.
That's a really good advice. And did you ever have a job or do you have one right now while studying?
So I started working when I was in grade 12 for like local farmers and at tree farms around my town because we're a big farming community. So that, and then I'm currently a resident life agent, so an RA for my dorm rooms that I currently live in. So yeah.
So how do you manage like work along with your university related homework and stuff like that?
So the cool thing about my work is it's only from 5 till 10 every day, and then I only have to be in our office from 5 till 7, and I'm allowed to do my schoolwork. I don't just have to sit there and wait to help somebody with whatever they may need. I can do my schoolwork there, and then I'm allowed to go wherever on campus between 7 and 10 when I have, and then I have to do rounds of 10. So it's not really anything that's like requiring a lot of time unless I get a call about something serious. But I'm able to study. I'm able to complete my work during that period of time too, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's nice. And do you live on campus?
Yeah, so I live basically in the dead center of the University of Alberta campus, which is beautiful because it's about a 10-minute walk to any far points on campus, which is very nice.
Oh, that's nice. And what do you think? Is it more expensive to live on campus compared to renting, or like what would you say about that?
Uh, I have friends that have graduated and go and live in like rented houses and stuff, and it's cheaper, but you also lose uh, the chance of your first year experience, I find, and like making a very solid friend group off the start. Like I have friends that are coming into the U of A, and I highly recommended them going to residencies over just living by themselves in a condo or whatever. Because I had friends in my high school that just bought condos or rented them, and they didn't have much of a friend group or anything. Where I live with 50 other guys, and I have a ton of friends to hang out with, study with, and it's just a really good experience. I find living in residencies for the first year or two of your career, just so that you have those social interactions. You get to go out, you have good study buddies, you have just a backbone of people that'll help support you.
Yeah, that's nice. And does your family live in Edmonton?
No, my family lives like about an hour and a half outside of Edmonton, so it's not too far, but it's not in Edmonton.
Oh, okay. But like you're able to meet up with them, right?
Yeah, this is like I live in a small town, so my parents come and do their grocery shopping here, and My sister does rock climbing at the U of A, actually. She's in a class for that, and she's still in high school, and yeah, it's not too
Um,
far. I see them every once in a while.
That's nice. So like you're close to home.
Yeah, I'm close to home. I can go home on the weekends if I really need to or want to. Which
Mhm.
is very nice.
And do you feel that you're getting a good education with the money that you're spending on it?
I do. There's especially with like U of A almost went on strike this year, and just hearing the stories about our TAs and profs that aren't tenured and what they're dealing with compared to what we're dealing with, I believe that for the amount of money we're paying, it's a pretty decent education in the long run. So I'm very
Mm.
happy with it.
So it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
Moving on, are there any specific tools that you personally think students going into education should invest in?
Have a good laptop, maybe an iPad, and a lot of good pens and papers, because that is what you will need in order to succeed in it. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of note taking, and yeah, just have good supplies that you know will last you a couple years.
Mhm. And you said that you went online too, right? Because of the COVID.
Yeah.
So that
So I
really, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did a year and a half online. So we got kicked out my first year halfway through March, I believe it was. And then I did my entire second year online, came back for the beginning of my third year, which was last fall semester. And then we had January and February online for this winter term that we're doing currently.
Oh, okay. And how did you find the online experience?
The online experience differed from prof to prof because they weren't really given any instructions on how to run their class. So it really depended on the prof you had. Some of them made YouTube videos of their lectures that you would go watch, and it was very asynchronous. Others would run class time. Some would post notes, and you would read them. It very depended on the prof. So some classes were a lot better than others, just depending on your learning habits and how you personally learn as a student, with everyone being slightly different on how they prefer to learn. So yeah, some were good, some were not the best classes in the world.
What would you prefer, online or like in class?
I highly prefer in person, just that face-to-face interaction with your prof and being able to, you're not just looking at a little black screen of 100 little boxes of other people in your class, but you can have conversations. You can learn from one another. You discuss questions. It's not just a chat box. It's a lot nicer being in person again.
Yeah, that's true. And like your class sizes, how large are they?
So some of my first year mathematics courses, we had, I believe, 300-person lecture theaters. While some of my education courses, there's 10, 12 people in them. So I have a wide variety of class sizes that I participate in.
So like if you struggle with anything, are you able to talk with your professors or because of the class sizes, does that really limit the ability to talk with your professors or seek help?
One of the nicest things is being back in person. Profs have a lot of office hours, usually like 3 times a week, and you just go to their office. You can discuss anything with them, and then it's also nice that being back in person, you can just, after class is over, they give themselves 10, 15 minutes to talk to students after class too, which is so nice compared to just logging off a Zoom at the end of it and having no chance to talk with them besides an email, which is not the best way of communication, I find.
Mhm. Yeah. Moving on, do you think there are any misconceptions with the field of education? Because like I know there's a lot of misconceptions with STEM fields. Um,
Uh, I honestly don't know. I've never really thought of misconceptions with the education field. I think a lot of people would believe that it's like you learning how to teach students like certain subjects, like how to teach like trigonometry or anything within a classroom, when in reality you're taking a course on trigonometry or language arts, and then you have to adapt your own ways to teach it in your future classroom.
mm, what parts of the journey do you find frustrating of your journey in university?
My most frustrating part of my journey has definitely been with COVID and online classes and just the uncertainty if we're going back to school, if we're going to be online, just it could change at any moment because it's changed a couple times on me so far. We've had like last semester, we had classes canceled twice due to just random COVID, and we weren't sure if we were going to go back online for the rest of the semester or whatever. We ended up staying in person, which was nice, but it's just the uncertainty of what you're going to do from one class to another, depending on what the university and the province says.
Yeah, that has been frustrating for a lot of people, and I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
Um, what parts did you find fascinating?
Of my like experience within university,
Yeah.
uh, just like coming from a small town, you might not like believe that like there's a lot of different people out there, and there's a lot of people who are exactly like you, like the same things. It's like another version of yourself, and it's just amazing how you tend to find each other and become great friends out of it and that kind of stuff. On like a campus of 50,000 people, you wouldn't really think that you'd get to know too many people very well, but it's amazing how many you do find and get to know and become good friends with.
Yeah, that's nice. And if you go back, would you choose the same profession, so like going to the field of education, or would you ever switch your mind or make any different decisions and choices?
I would stay with education, but I might switch my major minor to the opposite. So, physical education major with a mathematics minor. Just because with the classes I've taken for both, find that I more enjoy the physical education side and learning about the body and movement and everything than my math courses. So that's the only thing I would go back and change is switch my major and minor around.
Oh, okay. And finally, what would you say was the best advice that you learned throughout your experience?
Uh, Study hard, but remember to have fun.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that was all the questions I had for you today. So
Perfect.
that brings us to the end of our interview portion. Um, so I really enjoyed speaking with you, and thank you for being here. I will open it up to questions. I'm not sure if
No problem. Thank you for having me.
I think there are a few people who have joined. So you can type your questions in the chat or raise your hand using the function, and we'll make sure to address those questions.
I have a question, Dryden. Have you ever thought of maybe when you finish your education degree, would you be interested in like teaching in another country or traveling? Because I know a lot of people who go through education decide to do that at least for a year or two to kind of see the world, make some money before they come back to their home country, or to see if they want to stay abroad and continue to teach in different places.
Yeah, so over the my first 2 years, I never really thought of it, and I always wanted to kinda just stay at home, teach in Alberta. But this past year, one of my uncles actually teaches he's in the Netherlands right now, and he's taught all over the world in Malaysia and everywhere. And that's something I find really cool is just how he's able to explore, especially being in the Netherlands right now and the train systems in Europe and everything. He's able to go visit all the countries with his families and everything, and I find that really cool. So yes, I am actually looking into teaching foreign in the future.
Yeah, my background is actually education, and I was telling these guys the other night, I'm like, oh, if I could do anything again, I would definitely go and have gone somewhere for to teach a couple years before I came back to Canada, just because I do have a number of friends who ended up doing it and they loved it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome that you're open to that because there's so much you can learn, I think, about so much around the world before you
Mhm.
decide on where you want to land.
Yeah, I find it to be a really unique and cool opportunity that you can possibly do, and it's not too hard to do either. So yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Fifa, I think there's another question in the chat if you wanted to read it out.
Sure. So Snigdha is asking if there are any extracurriculars that you're involved in.
So I currently do about 8 different intramural activities a week between Sunday and Thursday nights, and I just in order to keep up with them and my busy schedule, I just focus really hard on my schoolwork during the day. So I go to my classes, and then as soon as I get back, I might have a 5-10 minute break to get water or food or whatever, and then I'm studying or doing my homework or anything and ensuring that I can get it done before I go to my sports that I go to at night. And if I don't, then I might just have to miss sports that week just to make sure I can get my other stuff done.
Sounds good. Sherry, you have your hand up. Would you like to go?
Yeah, thanks, Afifa. Yeah, Jordan, I was just wondering, have you noticed any difference, like now that you're training to become an educator, have you noticed any difference from like the way you went through school and the way your teachers taught to kind of like what you're learning now? Do you see any difference, or is it all very similar?
Yeah, my viewpoints on how my different teachers have taught, especially with like learning the different ways that teachers can teach and the different all that, it's like, oh, that this teacher is using this method compared to this method, and just depending, like looking back and viewing how different students, including myself, viewed different teachers by their methods and just how it affected individual students as a whole. Yeah.
Okay, we do have another question in the chat. The question is, how do you make sure to incorporate your hobbies in your busy schedule as a uni student?
It just goes back to that study hard, but still have fun. You just got to get your work done, and then just in order to have fun. So you work very hard, and then you get a couple hours here and there to go and have your fun, do your hobbies, and make yourself happy again, because schoolwork isn't that happy.
And I actually have a question of my own. How long would it take you to complete your program?
So my program that I'm currently in is usually a 4-year program, but with COVID, I've dropped down to if you take 5 classes each semester. But with COVID, I've just decided to take 4 classes online just to make my life a little easier and less homework while I'm at home and just sitting at my desk all day. Because with COVID, it went to a lot less instruction and a lot more work I found, which made me sit at my desk for probably 10 plus hours a day at home, which was not the best personal situation for me, especially with my mental health. So I decided to drop down to 4 classes, and it's pushed my graduation date back by 1 extra semester in the end. But I figured I'm living through a pandemic and going through school, so what's 1 extra semester in the end?
Okay. Thank you for answering my question.
No problem.
If there's no more questions, maybe we can just say thank you to Declan or Dryden for joining us today. Christian, will there be anybody else, or just the one today?
Just the one today.
Perfect. All right, so I'll let you close us off there, Afifa.
Thank you very much, Dryden, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And I love the information and the advice that you gave us over the interview period. It was wonderful. And I believe this concludes our speaker series on education and humanities for today. We will be having one tomorrow, which is going to be solely based on humanities. So let your friends know and join us, and it would be wonderful. And once again, thank you very much, Dryden.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.